What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show. Me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com. And I am back with another post show after PFL. And this is the second showing from PFL in the 2025 World Tournament first round. And again, I'm repeating myself. It was a very good card. Just like last week, I came on here and I said this is one of the best PFL cards in memory. Very hard to remember one as good. And you'd nearly say the same about this week. And usually when it's the lighter weight classes, obviously the women's 125 and the men's 135, usually maybe there isn't as many finishes. Some good fights, no doubt about it, but decision heavy maybe. Good combination here. Like all the fights that went to decision were pretty good fights. And some very, very good finishes as well, and very interesting finishes. And a lot of underdog wins as well. So I couldn't have been more impressed with this card. It was very, very good. Obviously, this card was ravaged by, I think, was it 6 out of the 8 135ers didn't end up fighting, and then someone missed weight as well. So basically the whole tournament has been ravaged, and they still did a good job putting it all together. I recorded my preview on Monday night, and I'd usually record my previews the Thursday before, maybe just to so it can be edited over the weekend and be out early or whatever. And even then, that wasn't. I had to re-record a part of it to get one of the fights in, and even then, I did the betting show. And part of that had changed by the time that came out, and more changed after. So, this was a crazy, crazy week for PFL. I've talked to people involved in not necessarily PFL, but weeks like this, things that happen, and people working in the background and stuff. And shout out to those people, because it's very, very hard to change all those things around. Whether it's just getting the fights done, one thing is very tough, but even the graphics or the wording of some of the calls that you're going to make or whatever it might be, just so tough for the promotion itself to turn that around. And especially when it's a tournament, so if fighter A is fighting fighter B on a card and it's not a tournament fight, I'll say, all right, look, fair enough, lads, you're not fighting, let's fight in 6 weeks time or whatever. Instead, can't be done here because it's part of the tournament and you have to have someone to fill in. So they did run out, didn't they, of backup fights, because Wetzel, as we'll see here, missed weight, and he still fought, and we'll talk about what happened. But madness. But these things happen in MMA. If you're an MMA fan, you don't expect that. You probably haven't been an MMA fan for very long, because it's it's going to happen. It's going to happen without a shadow of a doubt. And especially as well, you're putting, what if 4 events in a row, if I'm not mistaken? That's it's always going to happen in one of them. If you do 4 events in a row, one of them's going to get ravaged. It's bound to happen. But this was the one for PFL, but still turned out to be pretty good. And let's get into update, I suppose, on last week before we get into the fights itself. I thought the production was even better than last week. I know last week we said there wasn't really many kinks in it at all. Couple of sound issues last week. None this week that I remember. Not that I saw anyway. No, I don't think I didn't see any graphics issues. The commentary was very, very good as well. Dan Hardy is just the best, absolutely the best. And I know, I think Coachman was dealing with a bit of sickness as well, like Dan was last week. So that's the only issue. We haven't much to complain about that. The only thing I would complain about is Verdict MMA. People probably know me and my judging ways. I would get rid of Verdict MMA as quickly as I could anyway. But other than that, absolutely top notch, I would say. Very, very good. It's very good. So, look, there's been a lot of criticism and stuff of PFL this week with all this GFL nonsense, and I think it's a little bit unfair. PFL so far have put on a couple of cards here, and I know, look, there's been issues, and we would have loved to have seen more cards earlier on in the year, but look, they're here now, and I think good things are happening. So, let's get into the card and let's talk about it. So, let's start with the main event. And again, the main event here, it was a night of shocks. It was a night of underdogs pulling it off, and people that maybe you wouldn't have known as well ended up getting the wins. I'm just trying to pull up the betting lines here on some of these so we can go through them. Leandro Ego was best price minus 195, up as far as minus 238. Marceli Alves was plus 195 best price. Plus 195. So, you know, a big crazy price there, and that wasn't the fight at all. It wasn't like that whatsoever. So fight started off with Alves fighting out of the southpaw, and both kind of hand fighting. You know, a relatively slow start that I thought was like, oh geez, could it continue like this? But thankfully it did not at all. So there was a bit of a cup check. Alves landed a jab, Higo landed a leg kick, and Alves was kind of just off with a left hand twice. And I was kind of thinking at that stage, you know, if you keep winging those left hands, like I don't think they're going to get closer. And I was right and wrong, but mostly wrong. Alves landed a lovely shot to the body, and he got kicked to the body himself. Then Alves finally landed the left, and I wrote in my notes here, he looks powerful. He did every shot he threw just looked powerful. Then he got landed a nice hard right hand of his own. He went for a takedown, but that was no good. A great sprawl, and I will be repeating that phrase again from Marceli Alves. He got landed a leg kick, and then Alves dropped him hard at the same time. That he got landed a leg kick. Alves dropped him hard with a left hand as he was kind of falling in after the leg kick. It was a very odd one, but he dropped him anyway, and he went down. I think he did land the left hand. I've obviously seen the replay. I'm literally recording this immediately after this. Literally, they were still in the cage when I started recording this. So, but I believe he landed a bit of a left hand, and he did a great job of kind of just squirming away, and he landed on the bottom, and he pulled him into his guard. Did a great job of surviving in that position. Alves landed some nice elbows, but he locked him down, like literally and figuratively. He had the lockdown on the legs, and then he had the, as I like to call it, the upper body lockdown with the two hands around. So Higo was very, very tricky on the bottom, and Alves couldn't do much as the round ended, but definitely an Alves round there. Higo came out with a flying knee at the start of the second, but that was cut off quickly by Alves. Then Higo landed a lovely body kick. He dipped in for a takedown, but that was no good. Higo landed a nice right hand, and Alves was swanging at this stage. He was trying to land a few big shots, but not as much success. Here, Higo was picking his shots well, and he was constantly diving for takedowns. Alves landed a beautiful uppercut as Higo went for one of those takedowns. I believe it was a front hand uppercut, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be corrected on that, but he did land one anyway. It was a lovely shot. Alves is not throwing as much now because of all these takedowns that Higo was going for, which kind of led Higo to be able to fight from further distance, because it kind of tricked Alves into thinking he was going to go for takedowns, but then he just stopped going for him and he started kicking him from the outside. Landed a lovely 1-2, a nice jab as well, and Alves landed back with a jab of his own as well. Higo was landing some lovely leg kicks, and he got a brief takedown and landed a big knee on the way up, and it was all Higo as the fight kind of got to the clinch for the last maybe 30-40 seconds of it, and that was definitely an Higo round there, and it was 1-1 for me coming into this point of the fight. Then they came out for the third, and it looked like Alves was really struggling with the leg. I had mentioned, obviously, that Higo landed a few leg kicks, but Alves looked really, really struggling with it here. And, he's fighting kind of out of an upright stance already, but it even looked like more of an upright stance here. And, they both landed leg kicks early. Higo landed another low blow here. There's a lead left hook by Higo that was very nice, and then a right hand after. So at this stage, you're thinking, okay, Higo has brought back the momentum. Maybe he's going to go on and win this fight, but wasn't as straightforward as that whatsoever. Alves landed a nice combo, but then he was a tad off on a couple of... He probably landed a softer combo, and he was a tad off on the harder combos, if that makes sense. Higo was kicking the bad leg and missing a takedown. Then he went for a big uppercut, and he landed it to Higo. And then he was, spammed a few low kicks. Alves then landed a nice body shot, and Higo went for a takedown. And then something came over Leandro Higo at this stage where I thought it was relatively even at this stage, but I would say Higo was a little bit ahead. And then he just started going for takedown after takedown after takedown after takedown. And Alves was sprawling and sprawling and sprawling. And I've written down in my notes, it was 8 times he went for takedowns and 8 times Alves sprawled, which was crazy. He got through a head kicked in. I'm not sure that how hard it landed. I'd be interested to hear the judges what they thought of that one. But Alves landed a lovely left. Hugo spun, and then Alves landed a low kick. Ego, in fact, not Hugo. Ego went southpaw in, and he winged a few lefts. Again, a bit of a strange decision there, back to orthodox. And the second he did it, Alves landed a lovely jab. He got a brief takedown of another Ego spin, and the round came to the end there. So I thought it was very, very close because, the way he got switched up his game plan and started going for all those takedowns. Now, he had gone for takedowns during the fight, but spamming takedowns, I really don't think it benefited him. I think it looked bad for the judges, and when he kind of stopped doing that and moved to southpaw, didn't land anything, and then Alves landed like a couple of jabs, and that can count for a lot, I think, at that stage of the fight when you're looking for something. You're looking for someone to give it to, basically. And in the end, it was a split decision, which, I don't blame the judges whatsoever for this being a split decision because it was so close. And Marcelo Alves ended up getting the split decision. I believe it was 29-28 on all 3 cards, obviously, with one going to Ego. So, very, very good fight. A very, very interesting fight. And in my opinion, the right guy won. I thought Marcelo Alves was just about the better fighter in there. But again, short notice, a tough one for Leandro Ego. And Alves goes on, and he will fight in the semi-final coming up, and we'll get to his opponent here in a few minutes. Right, the next fight was a big favourite as well, but this time it wasn't an underdog win. It was a straightforward enough win, in fact, for the still Bellator for 125 pound champion. Did you ever get? Where's that belt gone? Did anyone get stripped of it? Is anyone that champion anymore? I don't know. Liz Carmouche. So this one went only 125 the round one. I talked about coming in like I really fancied Liz Carmouche to win it, but I'm like, is Liz going to be the same fighter? She's into her 40s now. Lira Joanna, like I never really thought she was good enough to beat Liz anyway, but Liz looked amazing coming in here. There was they talked in the commentary about having new kind of strength and conditioning coaches and things like that, and Jesus, it really paid off. Like, Liz was always in good shape, don't get me wrong. She always looked really prepared and muscular and everything, but I don't know, she looked stronger and faster and just way better here, like way better. And immediately she came out and showed it. She dropped her with the first left hook she landed. Then Lira Joanna did a good job of surviving that because Liz landed a couple more after, but she got the double unders up against the cage, did Joanna, and did, as I said, a very, very good job of surviving there. Then Liz got some body punches in underneath those and landed some knees to the body, and then Liz dropped her with a really hard looking knee to the body. Joanna barely survived, and then she went for kind of a Kimura sweep to try to get out, which was smart. I think that was the right thing to do. How much what can you do, I suppose, in that situation? But it was no good. Liz landed some elbows, and she was attacking the body, and the referee stepped in, Josh Rutgers, and called it off, as I said, at 125. Correct call. I don't think anyone. I think maybe he could have even called it, the 15 seconds earlier or whatever it was when she got dropped first. Gave her the opportunity. She wasn't able to get through it, and Liz Carmouche got the finish there and looked exceptional. Really, really, really exceptional there. Did Liz Carmouche. So great stuff from Liz. And look, Joanna, tough night at the office for poor old Arya Stark. I have my Funko Pops up there behind me. I was going to bring it down if she won, but I don't know. I was looking for Cyril and Payne then, but I don't think I have him. So we have we've a little dragon there over there, and Tyrion Lannister. That'll do. Right. The next fight, Mando Gutierrez against Francesco Nuzzi. So this week, what year is it? The 10-year anniversary? Was it some sort of anniversary anyway? Yesterday, I believe, of Paul Daly versus Nick Diaz, the greatest one-round fight ever. By God, this was a pretty pretty good spectacle as well of a one round fight. Similar enough start to time, just under 4.5 minutes in here. Gutierrez and Newsy, a brilliant 1 round fight. Absolutely loved this. So both are southpaws. There was an eye poke early from Newsy, and then both were kind of kicking from distance. Mando landed a nice right hook in an exchange, and he was swinging. They went into a clinch, and then Newsy got out of it. Newsy kind of landed a poke again, but then they got back to it very, very quickly. Newsy landed to the body, and then lands a hard counter shot as well. And Mando was pressuring, but his pressure was great pressure. But every time he walked in, Newsy was dog walking him. Absolutely dog walking him. But to be dog walked, you have to be a dog. And Mando, talk about that dog. Talk about having the dog in you. Absolutely brilliant stuff. He just kept walking. I'll be honest, he kept walking into him. I've written my notes here. Mando pressuring, walks onto another left hand, and another. And, Mando went for a double leg, but it was no good. Newsy landed a lovely 1-2. And I've watched Newsy. Obviously, he was in the European series and champion. And, very impressed with him always, and I was very impressed with him here. He looked absolutely great. He landed a lovely leg kick. It was answered back. Gutierrez landed one of his own. Mando's nose was bleeding. You're thinking at this stage, all right, how many times can he keep walking onto these left hands? And my answer in my notes here was Mando walks into more counters, so a few more. But then Mando landed a nice blitz, and then he went blitzed again. And as he blitzed the second time, Newsy slipped, but it was kind of hard to see. I don't know if something landed or not, but they said in the commentary it was a slip anyway. So I'll use their benefit of the doubt, being up there, up close as a better view. But it was kind of one of those ones. It wasn't nothing to do with the camera work or anything. It was just, one guy moved away, so they went with this camera, and then he moved in quickly as the other guy slipped. And it was a camera angle that was an impossible camera angle, really, but it did look like he slipped. And as Newsy slipped, Mando just jumped on top of him, took the back, rear naked choke deep, got the body triangle, but the Newsy defended really, really well. He took the hand, pulled it down. And you're thinking, okay, he's safe here, the body triangle, but Mando did a great job of landing shots from the back. And I remember talking to Ian Gary once about landing those sort of shots to the body and shots to the head from the back. What does it do? It opens the neck, slip the hand under there, rear naked choke, and that's it. And indeed it was. Got the tap. What did I say? 4-13 of the very first round. Great stuff there. And I'll tell you, the whole fight changed on one slip. Newsy was on his way to knocking him out. He really, really was. Had been picking him off, but the fight changed on that slip. And great job by Gutierrez to win that there. The biggest shock of the night then came in the next fight as Kasimov ended up losing to Justin Wetzel in a massive, massive shock here. I'm just pulling up the odds. Minus 1250 was the biggest price you get in Kasimov. Wetzel plus 750. So probably we'll call it now biggest shock of the year. The thing is, Wetzel missed weight as well, but I believe he still goes through in the tournament anyway because Kasimov said he'd take the fight. So that's a bit odd. They ran out of backup fights, but Wetzel looks so much bigger than him. Massive. Fight started off with a Kasimov low kick. Wetzel landed a hard left hand, and Kasimov kind of lead left hook twice in there. Wetzel looked massive. I've written in my notes here, and they kind of got into the mid cage clinch, and you were kind of thinking Kasimov is so good in that position. You're thinking he's going to win that, but didn't dominate it, but without a shadow of a doubt. Wetzel went for a single leg, then he went for the clinch himself, and there was a lot of that throughout the fight, to be honest. Kasimov kind of circled out, and he was kind of doing a good job of controlling the neck. They both landed a couple of knees in there. Kasimov landed a 1-2 and a leg kick on a break, and then Wetzel kind of landed one and another, and then dipped for a takedown, but that was no good. Again, bit of clinching, and Wetzel landed a good elbow on the break, but Kasimov kind of landed a few shots, nothing major. He went in on a single, kind of pulled him down, and then Wetzel was going for a guillotine as the bell went. I scored it just about for Kasimov, those 1-2s in there, and a few of the early shots maybe, but if you'd given that to Wetzel, I wouldn't at all be mad at you. I definitely gave the second round to Wetzel. Kasimov was sharp. Early, he landed a nice right hand immediately, but he got the double. He landed a hook with the left, the hook with the right, and you're thinking kind of here, can Kasimov kick on? Maybe okay, Wetzel has had a good first round. Maybe Kasimov just took it. But no, Wetzel landed lovely straight and he went for the clinch. He held on to a single for ages, but that was no good. And then he landed another straight left again. You're kind of thinking, okay, Kasimov, you're behind here a little bit. He went for a takedown. No good from Kasimov into the clinch, and they kind of fought for the position. Wetzel, in the meantime, was landing Travis Brown elbows, and he landed a good few of them. Kasimov went for the guillotine, but he got out so quick that I didn't think it would have scored hugely with the judges, but it did force him to kind of move out. But they quickly kind of got back into the clinch again. Wetzel landed a massive double leg takedown, laid, got into the quarter mount, goes for the back. But when he went for the back, he allowed Kasimov to switch. But I think Wetzel won that round, and I think it was either 1-1 or 2-0 to Wetzel at that stage. So, that's I don't think a lot of people would have predicted we would be at that stage with 10 minutes gone in the fight. So Justin was thrown but not landing at the start of the third, and Kasimov got the clinch, and then the clinch kind of went into the center, back against the cage, back into the center, back to the cage. And this is the type of third round again that, like, if you're behind, you need to change things a little bit here, and that wasn't really the case for Kasimov, and it was for Wetzel. Kasimov landed a couple of knees, but big hard elbow from Wetzel. That's the sort of shot you need. He landed a nice high knee as well, and then an elbow again. Kasimov landed on the break. It was a good shot, but then clinching again, and Kasimov was landing a couple of small knees. It was a break, and who landed better on the break? It was Wetzel. Landed an elbow, and then he landed another elbow, and he went for a takedown again into that quarter mount. Again went for the back. Again stood, and again fell off. But you're winning. You're winning at that stage. That's okay. Kasimov went straight back to the clinch, and what happened? Broke Wetzel elbows again. The fight kind of got to the ground in the clinch. Wetzel went for an inverted triangle. They kind of got into Dan Hardy, got a pretzel position. Wetzel. He was elbows. I've written in my notes here, and I'll read it out. Elbows to the arse from Wetzel, which they absolutely were. And then Wetzel kind of got caught under him and started landing like upward hammer fists to the body of Kasimov. And it was at that stage you're looking at it thinking, that's all Wetzel. Wetzel has done everything here. And he won that round. He definitely won the second round. And he won the fight as well. Good job by the judges there. He won the unanimous decision and goes through. Kasimov, massive favourite. Obviously, he was supposed to fight Kieran Clark. Judging by that, I'd say Kieran Clark would have given him a fine old do, and I think he would have beat him out the gate, I think, based on that. But take nothing away from Justin Wetzel. Again, did the size play a part? Did missing weight play a part? I would say absolutely yes. He looked massive, absolutely massive in there. So hard to deny that one. But look, he took the fight. You pays your money, you take your choice, as they say. Another brilliant performance here from Ekaterina Shakalova. Didn't last very long. Let me just check the time here. 2 minutes, 5 seconds of the very, very, very first round. She was a plus 195 underdog. Velasquez was upwards of minus 250 at one stage. I tweeted out just before the fight happened. I did kind of a quick breakdown of it the other day. And, I talked about Shakalova being a live dog, and by God, was she. The more I thought about this fight as it went, Velasquez, I saw her taking off her gloves afterwards. I don't know whether she retired or not, but it was a sort of performance maybe that would make you retire. Shakalova came out, blitzed her. Velasquez, again, the opposite to the last fight. She had so much physical advantages here. She was so much bigger and taller. But Shakalova went for a single. Velasquez trying to get up. Then Shakalova takes the back. She had the bulldog choke in the no arms rear naked choke. No hooks rear naked choke. No arms rear naked choke. That'd be a hard one. I believe they called that a triangle, did they? Anyway, Velasquez, she was fighting the hand. She did a good job. She had one hook in while the arm was still under, did the Shakalova, and then she got the two hooks in, but she was very, very high, and I thought, okay, she's going to maybe slip off here, or Velasquez will turn and maybe land on top of her, but no, she slid up. I was going to say down, up, down her body, upwards in gravity, downwards on Velasquez's body, got into a perfect position, slipped in the rear naked choke, and that was that. A great win for a Katerina Shaklova. She looks fantastic. Looked really, really good here in that fight. Then we had, I called it coming in the fight of the night, and by God it was. I think this was the best fight between Mateus Matas and Jake Hadley. So Hadley came out as a southpaw as he usually does, and Matas was kicking the leg early. Jake kicked the leg a little bit too, but Matas was definitely landing the harder leg kicks, landed a lovely shot to the body as well. But Hadley was putting on some good pressure. More leg kicks from Matas was followed by a left hook to the head and to the body from Hadley, and then Hadley catches a kick and transition into a double leg for a great takedown. Mateus got to the cage and up very, very quickly though, so that didn't count for much. But Jake was pressuring and he was kind of punching into the clinch. Mateus landed a nice trip, landed in guard. Jake was looking for subs to get him off him. And then Mateus he did, and Mateus landed back with a big Dan Henderson hammer fist from hell. Maybe caught it a little bit, but Jake caught a leg and gets up, and then Jake lifts to the body, landed a couple of teeps. Thought it was a close round. I just gave it to Matas. But reading back my notes there, I'm thinking, maybe I was wrong. But Matas did land the harder shots early. I don't think he landed as many as Jake Hadley. But, there wasn't a great deal, let's say, in that one. The second round then, definitely kind of, especially, late in the first round and into the second round, kind of went more in Jake Hadley's favour. I thought Jake, again, pressuring immediately, got off a nice head kick, landed some low kicks on both sides. Again, Matas landed some leg kicks and he landed a lovely left hand of his own. Jake was landing body shots the whole time, and his body work. I remember Dan Hardy actually mentioned in the cage wars was used to be brilliant, and it was brilliant here as well. Mateus landed a nice counter right hand. Counter right hand? I turned into a Northern Ireland person. And it was on point. Jake Hadley got a double leg into the clinch, which was didn't get the fight to the ground, but I said got to the clinch. Jake then knocked out his mouthpiece after a lovely combination. It made him look really, really good there, especially knocking out the mouthpiece. And then Jake, why do I keep sounding like I'm from Northern Ireland? And then Jake hurt him to the body really, really bad. He was taking his time, kind of testing the body. Then Matas kind of right cross wobbled Jake a small bit. Matas was landing a couple of hard kicks, and then the round ended. So close-ish again, but I think Hadley had done enough. That body kick really, really hurt him in the shots. He was well ahead before that, but Matas had a good kind of end maybe. And then in the third, it was shocking. Again, pressure from Hadley, landed a lovely body kick. Matas was fighting off, but he didn't land any of those lefts he kind of threw afterwards for a good one until kind of maybe the fourth or fifth one, and then Jake landed a left hand of his own. Jake kind of dipped in with his hips and takes him down. Great takedown. Jake takes the back, gets the body triangle in. Mateus kind of turns into the side he probably thinks is going to free him, but Hadley, having watched Stevie Ray on television put in the Scottish Triangle, knew exactly what to do in that position. Hooked at the bottom of the leg, pulled down on the neck, and twisted Mateus Matas and got the tap with the Scottish twister, or as I like to call it, the Brummy twister now with the Birmingham. Beautiful finish altogether. Dan Hardy called it brilliantly. What a job Dan Hardy did tonight. Brilliant stuff. So 2:16 of the third round. A fantastic Scottish twister there for Jake Hadley, and he moves on to fight. He's fighting Marcelo Alves, isn't he, I believe? And Mando Gutierrez then shall fight against Justin Wetzel. So that'll be very, very interesting there. Right, 2 fights left to go then. Kana Watanabe against Gina Bishop, and this fight ended up a unanimous win for Gina Bishop. They both started out southpaws, both thrown kind of lead hooks. Gina landed a nice combo. Kana was landing some counters. Gina rocked her, and Gina landed a lot of shots in this. Good few combos, landed a nice right hand, lovely dirty boxing. They kind of exchanged knees, but Gina was kind of winning these positions a lot of the time. She landed a hard knee to the body, but then Kana dropped her with a right hook. But then there was up kicks from Jenna that dropped Kana. This was the brilliant round. This was one of the rounds of the year without a shadow of a doubt. Fantastic round altogether. Jenna landed some hard shots as she stood up, and it was kind of a clinch by Jenna. And again, when Kana's nose was bleeding here, and they kind of broke out, and there was punches to the body from Jenna and a huge elbow from Jenna on the break then, but both landed in the open. I think Bishop did enough to get the round, but Watanabe did drop her pretty hard. But I think Bishop was ahead at this stage. Round 2, they're both pawn with their leads here. But Kana was doing a better job of picking the counters. But then Jenner dropped her with a left hand. Was she off balance? A little bit, but I think she deserves credit for it. Fighting didn't clinch in after kind of both were off with a bit of a shot. Jenna went deep on a single, but she didn't get it. Kana was kind of looking less tired here. Bishop was looking tired, and Kana was kind of controlling the clinch now. Both landed hard in the break, but Jenna kind of got stumbled here. So you're thinking, okay, maybe the fight's turning for Watanabe here. Jenna didn't win for a takedown and ended up on the ground and on bottom. Kana on top in the guard, and Jenna went for an armbar to get Kana off. Both kind of took a few seconds to get back. Took a few seconds off, I would say, when they got back on the feet. And then Jenna landed some good stuff late. Nice late knee in the clinch as well. But I think Watanabe had done enough to win it there. And then the third round all came down to that, in my opinion, 1-1 at that stage. Kana opens with 2 hard jabs, picking her shots a little bit more, getting back to the technical matchup from both of them, I would say. And Jenna landed a hard left hand. She landed 3 combos in a row then. Looked like she got her second wind about this stage, and landed a hard left hand. Watanabe landed to the body and landed a lead hook, and then she landed a combo of her own. So I think maybe a little bit even here. Nice jabs from Watanabe as well. And then Jenna landed a couple of lefts again, one to the body. And then, Kana was landing her nice counters, but Jenna was just landing more shots throughout all of this fight, really. And did Watanabe land enough power shots to overtake it? I think that's the question here, and I would side with maybe no. And there's a clinch and a takedown for Jenna late. She got the back on the ground with 90 seconds left, landed some heavy ground and pound, body triangle, and then went for the crank, but no good. But look, that in the last 90 seconds, she took her down. She beat her up on the ground. She definitely won that round. Did Bishop, and in the end, as I mentioned, she ended up winning the unanimous decision. A good win for her there. No doubt about it. And then the opening fight of the night, very, very impressive performance from Elora Dana, who took on Diana Askarova. So they're both fighting at range early. Elora was kind of fighting in the karate stance and throwing some leg kicks. She landed a right hand after a single leg, kind of half fake. Then Diana was struggling for range, but did land a nice jab. Elora landed 3 or 4, but Diana dropped her with a counter right hand, which is kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest. And Elora was just non-stop pressing and was landing most of her shots, to be honest. Diana clinched and gets a throw, but Elora jumps to take the back. Can't get the hooks in as they stand, but they did get back to kind of clinch against the cage. And then Elora Dana suplexed her, got into the half guard with a minute left. Diana locks her down with her hands, but then Elora goes for the modified guillotine kind of from the left hand side. Didn't look like it was fully on, but did look like it was kind of cutting, as I think Sean O'Connell said, it looked like it was cutting off one side of her head, or of her neck even, and it was very, very hard to so sometimes if it's very, very hard on one side, it'll cut off the blood supply there and it'll force the tap. So seemingly that's what happened there. But Elora Dana looked absolutely brilliant there, and she gets the finish and she gets the win. So she will be fighting Liz Carmouche. We'll talk about that next time out. It's too late now. So the last 4 anyway: Liz Carmouche, Elora Dana, Jenna Bishop, and Shaklova. And the last 4 in the men's 135: Alves, Gutierrez, Wetzel, and Jake Hadley. And it was a fantastic night, and may next week just be as good. I will be out with my preview for next week, so check that out on probably Tuesday, Wednesday, or whenever. And I will leave it there. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.